Hey everybody. So let's continue our talk about memory. And first, I want to do a memory test. What I'm going to do is read you a list of words. Do not write them down while I'm reading them. Automatic F for the semester because you'll mess up my demonstration. When I tell you to, I want you to write down as many of the words as you can. You do not have to write them down in order. It can be in any order, but you should really work your brain hard to try to remember as many of the words as you can. All right. Are you ready? Here we go. Sour, nice, candy, honey, sugar, soda, bitter, chocolate, good, heart, taste, cake, tooth, tart, pie. Now, you have 1 minute to write down as many of the words in any order as you can, and I want you to try really hard. Really work your brain hard trying to remember as many words. I bet you can think of more words if you try. Okay, now I'm going to read you a second list of words. Again, do not write them down as I'm reading them. Like before, after I'm finished, you will have a minute to write down as many of the words as you can remember in any order. You ready? Here's the list. Mad, wrath, fear, happy, hate, fight, rage, hatred, temper, mean, fury, calm, ire, emotion, enrage. Once again, you have 1 minute to write down as many of the words in any order as you can and try really hard. Think really hard. I bet you can come up with some more words. Work that brain. Okay, let's see how you did. From that first list, did you remember the word sweet? From the second list, did you remember the word anger or angry? I'll take either one. If you did, then I have successfully implanted false memories in your brain. Neither sweet nor anger or angry were on either list. Now, this demonstration actually works better in the classroom because every time I've done it, at least half of the class had formed a false memory of at least one of the words. So what's going on here? Well, our brains do the best they can, but they cannot possibly remember everything. So the brain tries to remember what it thinks is important. But if you're asked for other details later, then your brain fills in that missing information with something that makes sense. So from that first list, many of the words had to do with things that are sweet. From the second list, many of the words had to do with anger or angry things. And so when you're asked if those words were on the list, your brain just filled in that missing piece. False memories are incredibly common, and there are certain things that will increase the likelihood that we will develop false memories. One of these things is simply hearing other people talking about the event in our memory. If we hear other people talking about an event in our memory, then our brain tends to fill in missing pieces. And those missing pieces may not be true. That's why at the scene of a crime, if there's several eyewitnesses, the police don't talk to all of the eyewitnesses together. They get the eyewitnesses off one by one and talk to them individually to try to avoid them developing false memories. Another thing that will increase the likelihood that we will develop false memories is seeing pictures related to the event in our memory. Just seeing a picture that relates to some event in our memory may create false memories. There was an interesting study that was done a few years ago where they recruited undergraduate students into their study. And they got permission to talk with the students' parents. The reason they wanted to talk with the students' parents was twofold. One, they wanted to make sure that a particular event never happened. And two, they wanted to get a picture of the student with their elementary school class. Y'all know those shiny, happy people pictures we took when we were in elementary school. Then they brought the students in and they got some information from them and talked to them a little bit. And with half of the students, they said, we want you to come back in a week. But before you go, one of the people you went to elementary school with told us about the time that you put slime in the teacher's desk. Now, in reality, this event never happened. But the researchers said, when you come back next week, we want you to tell us about the time that you put slime in the teacher's desk. And then they let those students go for the week. The other group of students, they were also told, we talked to someone you went to elementary school with, and they told us about the time that you put slime in the teacher's desk. And they showed them a picture of their elementary school class. And they also said, when you come back next week, we want you to tell us about the time that you put slime in the teacher's desk. When the students came back the next week, they were asked to tell about the time they put slime in the teacher's desk. Now remember, This never happened with any of the students. However, those students who simply saw a picture of their elementary school class were much more likely to describe the time they put slime in the teacher's desk. But it never happened. And the students would tell detailed stories. They would say, oh yeah, the rest of the class laughed, or the teacher got really mad, or I got sent to the principal's office. So they would give details about this event that never happened. The reaction when they were debriefed and told that, hey, this really didn't happen, was interesting. One student said, if you had not told me that this never happened, I would have left here thinking that I put slime in the teacher's desk when I was in elementary school. Another student actually said, no way. No, I remember it. It actually really did happen. This student could not be convinced that this was a false memory. So seeing pictures related to an event in our memory can create very powerful false memories. Another thing that will increase the likelihood that we will develop false memories is leading questions. Leading questions are questions that are asked in a way that encourages a particular answer. And Elizabeth Loftus has done a lot of research on how we say something or how we phrase a question can influence the development of false memories. One study that Loftus did, she had participants watch a video of a multiple car accident. Afterwards, half of the participants were asked, how fast were the cars going when they hit each other? The other half of the participants were asked, how fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other? A week later, the participants were asked if they had seen broken glass in the video. Those who had been asked the question, how fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other, were twice as likely to describe broken glass in the scene. Twice as likely as those who were asked, how fast were the cars going when they hit each other. There was no broken glass in the scene. So just hearing the words smashed into created that false memory. Loftus also did a study where she showed participants a series of pictures of a car accident that involved a red car hitting a pedestrian. In one of the pictures, a green car was seen driving past. Afterwards, half of the participants were asked, did the blue car that drove past have a ski rack on the roof? The other were asked the same question without mentioning a color. So they were asked, did the car that drove past have a ski rack on the roof? They were later shown different colors and asked to pick out the color that most closely matched the car that had driven by. Those who heard the question with the word blue, so did the blue car that drove past have a ski rack on the roof, were more likely to pick a blue color. Now remember that the car was green. But now, since they heard that leading question, in their memory, the car was no longer green, it was blue. So leading questions can absolutely help us create false memories. Which brings us to eyewitness testimony. Eyewitness testimony is powerful and is often used to convict people of crimes. But how reliable is eyewitness testimony? What I want you to do now is go to Moodle and watch the Burlington case on eyewitness testimonies. This is from Burlington, North Carolina. At the end of part 1, it will automatically continue to part 2. Make sure you watch both parts. I have several questions I want you to think about as you're watching the videos. So make sure you think about those questions and know the answers to those. All right, that's it for this PowerPoint. I'll talk to you guys later.